If you're still running the factory injectors in your 1996 to 2004 Mustang GT, it may be time to upgrade, and this fuel injector kit in a set of 8 is a great OE style replacement. Now, fuel injectors are constantly working and they can wear out over time and cause some funky symptoms like bad fuel economy, a rough idle, or even a full-blown misfire. Now, this set is great for the Mustang owners out there looking to maintenance their injectors, whether you are experiencing those symptoms or you're just doing routine maintenance and want an affordable OE style choice to do it with. Now, with the older SN95s, over time the fuel injectors, as I said, can just wear, whether it's leaking, cracking, a faulty connection, or the more typically clogged injector that causes poor spray leading to poor performance. Now, this set, however, comes with all 8 in the kit for a full revival to your fuel system, improving your 4.6 liters performance and getting rid of any of those unwanted symptoms that you may be having. Now, they feature a factory style flow rate with a similar design, so you won't have to make any modifications to the fuel system otherwise, or your motor being a complete drop-in replacement. Now, these have an outer plastic housing with machined nozzles, very similar to the factory ones, just refreshed compared to your current set. Now, again, they are a direct drop-in replacement to your current injectors and have a plug-and-play 2-pin OE-style connector for a fairly straightforward install. Now, this set on the table here is about $175 and is a very affordable option compared to others available in the category. Now, the reason being is that these are, again, more of an OE style choice. They're not intended for super high performance applications that require higher flow rates or a more intricate design that ultimately makes them cost a bit more. Now, if you just need to do some maintenance, you're not making any crazy power with your Mustang and want to keep it easy and affordable, this is a great choice for you. Now, install is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. I do recommend some mechanical experience in order to tackle this. You will need a couple specialty tools in order to get the fuel injectors out of the rail, as well as these installed. And if you have those tools, it should take about 4 hours or so to get every single one of these in place. However, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our installers here. They're going to show you how to install these on your Mustang, whether you are tackling the install, you're just curious about the step-by-step process. So that wraps it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, an extension, flathead screwdriver, a pick, 8mm socket, and some 10W30 oil. What's up, guys? Today we're installing fuel injectors on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is come over to our battery and take an 8mm socket to loosen up the clamp and remove our negative terminal. And just wiggle that off. Now, next we're going to take some compressed air and we're just going to blow it all around the injectors on both sides. You don't want any crap falling into your engine when we pull these out. So I've got a blowgun with an air line. You can use a compressed air can as well to do this. So just blow all over and get all the crap out. Now, the next thing we need to do is relieve our fuel pressure. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this. One way is by pulling the fuel pump relay and then cranking over the engine a bunch of times to release that pressure. On this Mustang, we do have a Schrader valve on our fuel rail. So you can just go ahead and twist that off. Now, there's going to be a pin in here. You can take a flathead screwdriver to push that in. It's going to spray a little bit of fuel, so I would definitely recommend getting a pair of safety glasses, and you can grab a microfiber towel to put over there so you don't get fuel everywhere. You're just going to take the tip of that screwdriver, push down on that valve, and that'll release your pressure. Now I got fuel all over my hand. See it leaking out there. So just go ahead and clean it up. It will evaporate off if not. But keep that area clean. Just give it a few taps until you got nothing coming out, and then your fuel pressure will be relieved. And then once you got that pressure relieved, you can pop your cap back on so you don't lose it. Now we're going to come over to the passenger side and remove our intake tube to get more access down there. So we've got a couple clamps with 8mm bolts. Just grab an 8mm socket and loosen those up. And then we're going to disconnect this connector here. And then I'm just going to follow these lines over. I'm going to remove this one from our IAC and then follow this one over, pop it out of that boot, and then we can wiggle this off. So now we can disconnect all of these connectors on our injectors. We're just going to grab the two sides, pinch, and wiggle it off. Now this last connector on the back is slightly different, so we're going to wait until we pop the rail out to disconnect that. And now next I'm just going to disconnect our two connectors on our IAC and our throttle body, just to get them out of the way and get a little more room here. And next we're going to grab an 8mm socket and remove the two nuts holding down our fuel rail. I'm just going to loosen them both back and forth. So now our fuel rail is loose, so we can pull up on this, and then we're going to wiggle out all of our injectors. We might end up having to pop this throttle body off and sliding it out of the way, but see what happens here. So just give it a wiggle and a pull. Got some fuel coming out, so just throw a rag down there. Now we are bottoming out on this throttle body, so I'm just going to move this out of the way, give us a little extra room here. So now I'm just going to take an 8mm socket. We've got two bolts on the top and the same on the bottom here. So I'm just going to crack them all loose first. And I'm going to remove the bottom two. Just be careful not to drop those. And then I'm just going to remove these, and then I'm just going to lift the throttle body and let those bolts sit on top of here, just to lift it up a little bit. We don't have to. Now with that out of the way, we can continue on with our injectors. We're going to have to disconnect this last connector here. So at the bottom, you're going to pull up on these tabs. You can use a flat or a small flathead screwdriver to get onto there. And it might actually just be easier to pop that out. Just get underneath those tabs, one on each side, and pop that connector free. So now I've got some microfiber shoved down there, and we're just going to wiggle all of these injectors out of our rails. Now you want to make sure you get everything out with your injector. We've got an O-ring up top, O-ring at the bottom, and our pintle cap. You can see our last one, the O-ring stayed inside the rail. So I'm going to grab a pick and pop that out. So I'm just going to go right up in there. There's a pick, and there's my O-ring. Pop that out. And then this last one separated from the fuel rail instead of the bottom. So we're going to wiggle that one out, making sure we have all of our pieces. And then once you got them all out on one side, you can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So now we're ready to install our new injectors. So I've got a cup of oil here. The recommended oil to use here is going to be 10W30. We're going to lube up this top and bottom O-ring. You want these to be nice and lubed so that you can slide them in. So you're just going to get some oil on your finger and just put a coat on both of these O-rings. And then we'll just go one at a time. We're going to get it down into that hole, get it nice and square. Wiggle it into place until you feel that click, and just go down the row, repeating that same process. And just angle your connectors so that they're at an angle away from this one. And then once you have all those in, just line up your rail, press it down onto those injectors, and then thread in the studs and nuts. And then grab your 8mm socket and tighten these down. And then you can go back and plug in all your connectors. And now repeat that process on the other side. And now we can reattach our throttle body. Get that lined up. If your gasket came off when you removed your throttle body, make sure you get that back on. We're just gonna thread in all of our bolts. And these bottom two, just be careful not to drop them. I'm just gonna run these all in by hand first, and I'll slap my ratchet on the other side. Then go back, tighten these down. I like to use a cross pattern for these. And then reconnect your two connectors. We've got the one on our throttle body, and then the one on the IAC. And now we just need to reinstall our intake tube. Slide that into place, get it over the throttle body and onto the air box. Reconnect your connector over here, reconnect this line, as well as the one going to the IAC. And then grab your 8mm socket and tighten both of your clamps down. Now, the last thing we need to do is go back and reconnect our negative battery terminal. Just pop that out, slide it on. And then grab your 8mm socket, tighten down your bolt. And then you're good to go. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Fuel Injector Kit, a set of 8 in black for your 96 to 04 Mustang GT. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.